I call the honourable member for Fairfax.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and I'm delighted to stand to speak about the Ozone Protection and Synthetic Greenhouse Gas Management Reform Bill of 2022. As we well know, there is much about which we disagree in this place, in this chamber, on many topics, and we've seen that on display very much today. It is a pleasure, therefore, to be standing to speak about a bill on which we agree with those on the government benches. And so indeed today, as we speak about this piece of legislation, we do so with a real sense of bipartisanship. And it's probably a reminder, Deputy Speaker, that despite the fact that parties such as the Labor Party and the Liberal and National parties in the coalition have very different political philosophies, when it comes to the big picture on things such as the environment, everybody wants the same end goal. Everybody wants to ensure that they leave the planet a better, safer and indeed a cleaner place than they found it. And I think it is that aspirational drive for a cleaner world that at the highest of levels can unite everybody in this chamber. What often divides is the question of how we go about it. But here we have today a bill where we also have unity on the question of how. And we come at this as a coalition, as Liberals and Nationals, very proud of our history on things relating to the environment, to management of biodiversity, and also to issues of conservation. Indeed, I think you can argue that the conservative side of politics are the original conservationists. It was Edmund Burke who talked about his version of being a conservative, that it is a calling of protecting, a calling of an organic society guided by intergenerational responsibility. And that means responsibility to the land, to the water, to the broader atmosphere. It is why when you're at a branch meeting for fellow members of the Liberal and National parties, or in Queensland the LNP, you will have people around those tables who are very well versed because they have the lived experience of working on and protecting the land and the waterways. And it is why we are so proud as a coalition for our track record when it comes to matters of the environment. What we do have today, though, is something that goes beyond just the coalition. It is indeed bipartisan. And we are building on the signing of the Montreal Protocol by the Hawke government some 33 years ago. And what we have seen since then has been successive governments of various political stripes building on and supporting that basic agreement signed up by that government. Indeed, it was the Abbott government that decided to trigger a review into the programs that are being legislated for today. Tony Abbott did that as Prime Minister on the basis, again, of building on it and improving. It was then the Turnbull government that picked up some of those recommendations from the review and legislated for them. And now we are in the 47th Parliament, and the Albanese Labor government is seeking to legislate to enact some of those other recommendations coming from the Abbott government review. Now, the bills before the House very much mirror what the coalition had put before the election, and of course the lapsing of Parliament. We now have the new government put them forward, but they very much mirror what the coalition was looking at. And they are in three parts. The first part being the closing the hole in the ozone layer bill, and that principally looks at improving the program for synthetic greenhouse gas management. That program to be modernised with greater compliance and enforcement arrangements, inserting into law various obligations that are currently only imposed by licence conditions, better clarifying licence and exemption requirements, and increasing the time permitted for businesses to submit and report and pay levies. And then there are two other bills that are come before the Parliament, bundled together, and they are the Import Levy Bill and the Manufacture Levy Bill. And this is all about ensuring we have improved efficiency in the management and the administration of those two levies. Levies that are used to recover the costs associated with the operation of the program to which I just referred. This includes removing the caps on the levy rates for the program, the creation of a capacity for the manufacture levy rate to be more flexibly set, delegation to senior departmental officials of the power of the minister to grant exemptions to levy payments, and the abolition of the levy applied to the importation of ODS equipment. And so, in summary, Deputy Speaker, I say that the Coalition is happy to stand with the Albanese government on what has become, over decades, a bipartisan approach to ensure that we protect the ozone, to ensure that we better the environment. And in these times where there is much disagreement on policy areas of climate and energy, it is indeed a pleasure to stand here today with the government on this bill in a sense of real unity. Thank you very much.
I thank the honourable member for Fairfax.